I wanted to ask because before I was like following a teaching where one of the pieces was that you have to say no, like say no to the old to get access to the new experience, to like uh, heighten the quality of your experience or something like that. But in the non-duality context with like the timeless thing, it doesn't really make sense with that linear progression. But I was just interested in what you would say about that.
I don't know what you mean by you have to say no to the old. You have to explain it a bit more to
Um,
me.
I get like if you it's a bit connected to authenticity, maybe like if you're in an experience that doesn't feel 100% aligned with you, that you have to say no to that to kind of open up to something better, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Is there finite space for it for experience? Do you have to let go of the old to go into the new? That's my question.
It's all to do with seeking patterns. So it's like to me, waking up, like going back to who you truly are as the no thing and the everything is a letting go of an image of yourself. So in that circumstance, if you're behaving in a way where you're trying to create an image of yourself, then you're moving away from who you are. But that's totally okay because that is appearing in who you are. But you're moving away into an imagined abstract world of trying to get the person in time validated and that person in time trying to get love. And that never really works. That's what's called seeking or craving. So, I mean, the irony is like any practice to try to stop that is in a way, or can become like an abstraction of your mind as well. Like I'm practicing to become something, and then there's another image of yourself. So practice is always like a very delicate thing to talk about. So in that, they may have been trying to free up some of your seeking patterns. So if you're in the moment and somebody is crossing your boundaries, but you have an image of yourself of wanting to be a certain way, so you cut off from this moment and then you go into a seeking pattern of trying to maintain face, trying to maintain something, that they're most probably trying to challenge that, to bring more awareness around it. But it's, in the end, it isn't like the ultimate importance, because in the end, everything is God, including if you go into seeking patterns or if you go into old karmas. The old karma could be like a fear about them or something, but it doesn't necessarily try to maintain an image of yourself. So it's more like these people talk about these types of things to help illuminate what's not illuminated. You know, sometimes when we're in social situations, we're so focused on being something, or we're so focused on the other person or what should happen, that it's very unconscious to us what's actually happening. So then we meet teachers that are trying to illuminate that, and that teacher's idea is that you've got to try and say no to it, and by saying no to it, I'm sure like there will be luminosity onto illusion.
That's probably part of it, but I feel like it's also, or what I'm thinking about now is like, is it possible to want to have the cake and eat it too? Or like, do I have to let go of the old? Like, I have resistance to letting go, obviously. But there's this idea that I have to do that to kind of expand forward, or but there's
Yeah,
also no such thing as forward, or
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so
And
that's
then this is where it all begins to get confusing, because then it becomes like a practice for you, and then there's a you there that's afraid of letting go, and that's illusory. So this is like what happens when we're waking up is the lights get turned on to a lot of thoughts and ideas and energies which are hiding in the darkness, you know, what we call shadow. But it doesn't mean that you have to get rid of all your shadow. That would be impossible. But there has to be a certain amount of not buying into it in order for the energy to really stay here. So if you think about it, like 10 years ago, I don't know, or 20 years ago when you got into this subject, if you think of the comparison, there was most probably a complete identification with mind, thoughts, and the timeline. And then through this subject and through becoming more aware of yourself, there are certain thoughts and ideas which you now don't take so seriously and which don't take up so much time. So there's a breaking of this abstract thinking, there's a breaking of going on into the timeline, and there's more of a resting here. It's not that we have to break everything or break or illuminate all the shadows, but there has to be enough in order for the energy to want to rest here and to not keep trying to hide in time and space. Hide means like avoid what's actually happening here. So there has to be enough space to be able to accept and hold the reality of life, that life doesn't pan out like we imagine it, and that life can be tough at points. So holding that, and then also holding all types of emotions. When we're not willing to really hold space for everything that appears, the good and the bad, then we will try to hide in imagination and the conceptual thinking. So there has to be a certain amount of illuminating what is a lie in order to be comfortable enough to really fall into what's actually happening. And that doesn't really happen to someone, because who would that someone be but an imagination? And it's not really somebody that's doing it, because who would that be? That would be an imagination. But there's seemingly a breaking that happens where there is this addiction to you and you trying to find your freedom in time and space rather than right here.
Yeah.
So I just see that teaching as like something that can help illuminate lies, but it's not a truth. It's not a has to. It's not the truth. It's not an actual, this is the way we have to behave in every moment. Like interacting with people is a very complex affair. Being in relationships is a very complex affair. Having kids, or it's got so much diversity. But what has to happen is this coming back to be able to hold it, rather than having to live in an imagination to be able to cope with what's happening.
Thank you.
No, thanks.